Hello and welcome to our daily Churchill speech. Today we are in February 1934, talking about the suddenness of war, and we'll just jump right into it. You may see the book a little bit here and there. As I said, I'm not memorizing these, I'm not practicing them. I just want to get the speech out and kind of just work on delivery as we go. So here we go. Wars come on very suddenly. I have lived through a period when one looked forward, as we do now, with great anxiety and great uncertainty to what would happen in the future. Suddenly, something did happen. Tremendous, swift, overpowering, irresistible. Let me remind the House of the sort of thing that happened in 1914. There was absolutely no quarrel between Germany and France. One July afternoon, the German ambassador drove down to the Quai d'Orsay and said to, I think, Mr. Vivani, the French Prime Minister, "We have been forced to mobilize against Russia and war will be declared." What is to be the position of France? The French Prime Minister made the answer, which his cabinet had agreed upon, that France would act in accordance with what she considered to be her own interests. The ambassador said, "You have an alliance with Russia, have you not?" "Quite so," said the French Prime Minister. And that was the process by which, in a few minutes, the area of the struggle, already serious in the East, was enormously widened and multiplied by the throwing in of one of the two great nations of the West on either side. But sometimes even a declaration of neutrality does not suffice. On this very occasion, as we know, the German ambassador was authorized by his government, in case the French did not do their duty by their Russian ally, in case they showed any disposition to back out of the conflict which had been resolved on by the German nation, to demand that the fortress of Toul and Verdun should be handed over to German troops as a guarantee that the French, having declared neutrality, would not change their mind at a subsequent moment. That is how the great thing happened in our own lifetime. And I am bound to say that I cannot see in the present administration of Germany any assurance that they would be more nice-minded in dealing with a vital, supreme situation than was the imperial government of Germany, which was responsible for the procedure being adopted towards France. No, sir, and we may, within a measurable period of time, in the lifetime of those who are here, if we are not in a proper state of security, be confronted on some occasion with a visit from an ambassador, and may have to give an answer in a very few hours. And if that answer is not satisfactory within the next few hours, the crash of bombs exploding in London and cataracts of masonry and fire and smoke will warn us of any inadequacy which have been permitted in our aerial defenses. We are vulnerable as we have never been before. I have often heard criticisms of the Liberal government before the war. It is said that diplomacy was not sufficiently clear and precise, that it wrapped things up in verbiage, that it ought to have said downright and plain what it would do, and there were criticisms about its lack of preparation and so forth. All I can say is that a far graver case rests upon those who now hold power if, by any chance, against our wishes and against our hopes, trouble should come. A far graver case. Not one of the lessons of the past has been learned. Not one of them has been applied, and the situation is incomparably more dangerous. Then we have the Navy. No air menace worth speaking of. Then the Navy was the sure shield of Britain. As long as it was ready, in a time, and at stations, we could say to any foreign government, well, what are you going to do about it? We will not declare ourselves. We will take our own line. We will work out our own course. We have no wish or desire to hurt anyone, but we shall not be pressed or forced into any hasty action unless we think fit or well. We cannot say that now. This cursed, hellish invention and development of war from the air has revolutionized our position. We are not the same kind of country we used to be when we were in Ireland only 20 years ago. That is the thing that is borne in upon me more than anything else. It is not merely a question of what we like and what we do not like, of ambitions and desires, of rights and interests, but a question of safety and independence. That is what is involved now as never before. I cannot conceive how, in the present state of Europe and of our position in Europe, we can delay in establishing the principle of having an air force at least as strong as that of any power that can get at us. I think that is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. It would only begin to put us back in the position we were brought up in. We have lived under the shield of the Navy. To have an air force as strong as the Air Force of France or Germany, whichever is the stronger, ought to be the decision which Parliament should take and which the national government should proclaim.